This is supposed to be the strongest season of the contestant alone in the wild. Every player is a master hunter, and the practical ability is also very strong. Not only did they build luxurious shelters, they also hunted squirrels and grouse. You can eat delicious roast meat every day, turning wilderness life into a vacation. Time came to day 12. Construction of a permanent shelter has begun on Jessie's side. Looks like she wants to build a cabin shelter, too. It's very windy on her side. It's still raining. The weather is getting colder, too. Plans to build shelters must be accelerated. There are many trees nearby, but the road was very rough. Jessie collected several big trees. She plans to use the mountain to build a shelter. Looks like a big job. Jessie dug with a stick to collect dirt. A flat place was soon made. Then she went to collect wood. I can't believe this is a girl thing. She tied the wood to the big tree. Others build shelters. Jessie built a wilderness house. Does it have to be so perfect? Soon she had a frame. Look forward to Jessie finishing this masterpiece. Igor is having lunch. Today is seaweed soup again. I didn't catch the high fish. I'm addicted to eating kelp every day. He needs energy every day to build the shelter. Even cutting wood took a lot of energy out of him. If Igor eats kelp every day, building this cabin shelter would be amazing. When he had finished eating, he began to collect wood again. He also wanted to build a cabin shelter. Such a shelter would be stronger. Yes, it's not a good strategy to think about the shelter too perfectly. Igor wants to put a wooden floor under the shelter. That takes a lot of trees. Igor cut grooves in the wood. Is he trying to stack the shelter? Wooden shelters like this are the worst waste of wood. After sunset, he saw a grouse appearing nearby. In a twinkling of an eye, I had a grouse in my hands. These big guys aren't just good with their hands. Hunting ability is also very strong. This grouse is a real treat tonight. Igor was eating barbecue by the fire. This is so enjoyable. Finish this roast. More confident about building shelters. Time came to day 13. Adam is also busy perfecting the shelter. He collected a lot of clay and hay. Today Adam is building a fireplace, mixed with soil and grass roots. This will make the clay stronger. Adam's cabin has a very tight shelter, but the exhaust effect is very poor. So he had to change the fireplace to make the shelter more comfortable. Once the clay was ready, we began planning the structure of the fireplace. Adam wove the shape of the fireplace out of branches and sticks. It's a real challenge for the survivor. After you get the shape, Adam covered the jing with clay. While he was building the fireplace, I heard a grouse outside. Adam went out in search of grouse. The grouse is in the tree. He picked up a stick and tried to hunt grouse. Too bad the grouse flew away. Adam saved some arrows for the black bears, so I missed the grouse. He continued to return to the shelter to perfect the fireplace. The chimney mouth leaks easily, so he decided to cover the chimney mouth with a sheet of bark. This will not only allow ventilation but also prevent rain from leaking. After the fireplace is built, Adam starts a fire to see how the chimney works. When he started a fire in the shelter, there was no smoke. It looks pretty good, so you can have a fire every night. If I could hunt that grouse today, it's gonna be a hot night. I don't know what these high people think, do you? Have a bow and arrow and do not use it. You must hunt with a stick. This high guy doesn't even think of a grouse as a person. Jessie's building a big house. When you're hungry, you pick berries. It's hard to maintain energy on a diet of only ORS. You don't eat enough calories a day. Jessie sees a lot of rabbits every day. They plan to set traps here to hunt these rabbits. These fallen trees are often a highway for animals. Jessie's got a net all over it. As long as they just passed, it's bound to roll over. Jessie's got this tree full of traps. It's not just an animal flipping a car. It's the beat of the house. As long as it's a fallen tree. Jessie set up a trap. I did a back of an envelope calculation. Probably less than 10,000. She keeps making traps here. When you're tired, you just sit on the ground and keep doing it. She heard a squirrel nearby. Jessie went to check out the traps that had just been laid. I didn't realize I actually caught a squirrel. The traps haven't even been laid yet. A trap has already caught its prey. Can you imagine how many traps this crazy bitch has laid? She took the squirrel to the shore to dispose of it. Gringos don't even eat offal. I understand not eating offal, but what I don't understand is why waste guts. Don't you fish with your guts? Soon the squirrel meat was cooked. I've been eating berries and building shelters for days. I finally ate my first meat today. A squirrel may not be big, but for the survivor, this is a very formal meal. The time came to the 14th day. Benji got up early to watch the sunrise. The color of the sky is very beautiful. He must build a permanent shelter before the rainy season sets in. The shelter is very elaborate. The wind direction in winter is different from that in summer. Benji must judge the direction of the wind to choose the entrance to the shelter. There are many trees here. The first choice is wood. I thought he'd build a nice shelter. I didn't expect a tent like this. He lay down on the ground and rested. What the hell is he up to? He heard the squirrel. The squirrels are in the trees in front of us. Benji approached slowly with a bow and arrow. Every time you pull the bow, you catch a squirrel. This high guy's got a hell of a hunt. The shelter hasn't been built yet, but Benji's already enjoying a close-up dinner. He never had guts. This is a meal of squirrel entrails. Liver and kidney can give him a lot of trace elements. The shelter in Benji is bad, but his food is not bad. It's just that this high guy is a good hunter and a good balance. Jessie woke up this morning looking great. Her cabin shelter isn't ready yet. Now I have to sleep in a tent. Jessie was so excited to finish building this shelter. Maybe girls are picky. One shelter a day would be enough for Adam. Jessie's shelter is huge. A lot of wood is needed. Cutting wood takes time and energy. Isn't it a good idea to spend too much time building shelters in the first place? If it were me, just put the tent on. Focus on the hunt. 1 hour a day is enough to perfect the shelter. Jessie stuck sticks into the ground. Form a mountain wall. She also collected a lot of bark and put it on the bottom. Is this crazy bitch really building a wilderness house? Jessie was tired and sat on the ground to rest. Let's call it a day and do it tomorrow. One shelter has been set up. Now he's focused on hunting. This strategy is absolutely fine. Wilderness survival shelter as long as it keeps you warm and sheltered. Food is what keeps you going. One went hunting in the jungle with a bow and arrow. It's a very complex environment here. He saw bare footprints on the ground. One became nervous too. The footprint was as big as his palm. Juno realized that he was in danger. When he got back to the shelter, he started making alarm devices. String the discarded cans together to make an early warning device. As soon as the black bear touches the rope, the jars make a sound. One showed expertise that none of the other players had. Maybe it's his experience of surviving in the snow all the time. The jars make a very loud noise. You can hear it in the distance. If it's the wind, I'm looking over my shoulder every night. One hung the jar on the tree. The time came to day 15. The weather is getting colder. Adam's changing his hunting plans. Make different bait hooks for fishing. Take out the insole and cut off a little. As prosthetic bait for fishing. Just a little bit of everything now, huh? Let's see which fish like to eat. After making a fishing hook, he went to the shore again to try fishing. The river is very calm now. There should be good results. He was swinging a stick at the shore. Adam was desperate to get a bonus. So you can share the financial burden with your family. Anyone who lives alone in the wilderness will have money. Each contestant is paid between $1,000 and $2,000 to survive a week. So the contestants try to get as much food as possible. Make yourself live longer. Adam didn't catch any fish today, but he wasn't very sad. Instead, the nerves suddenly started dancing on the shore. Sometimes it's hard for me to understand how the contestants behave. The sun is fine today. Jessie came here to bask in the sun. Lately she's been eating squirrels and ORS. Not hungry, though. But do you hunt and store food now that you have time? These gringos really have no sense of reserve. Jessie Lai checks the full set of traps. Every tree that fell was full of them. A squirrel was caught in a tree. A squirrel came to save his brother. But with a brother about to be strangled, he could do nothing but open his mouth and shout for help. Jessie thanked the squirrel very much. To see them in such a good relationship, it's a little hard to bear for a moment. The squirrel called out to Jessie to rescue his brother, but Jessie didn't want to listen to them. I wish two brothers would die together. It was such a fine day that Kelly went outside to bask in the sun. Did she untie her hair to seduce the brothers? Between her knees and her head in the dirt, she was washing her hair. People who don't know think she eats dirt. It's harder for girls to survive in the wilderness than it is for men. Washing your hair can be a hassle in itself. Callie's goal today is to build a shelter. All the players are building big shelters. And Callie builds cone shelters. And they put the shelter on the top of the hill. Gringos really don't know anything about feng shui. Right where Callie is, usually the best place to bury a coffin. Winter thickens. The wind at this location must be very strong. It's also the worst when it rains. Once you're done with the wooden frame, lay the tarp. This looks more like it. As long as Callie is happy, today she's in a shelter and started a ritual fire. She seems to like this grave-like shelter. You can live in an ugly shelter. Now all she has to do is focus on the hunt. The time came to day 16. Adam's been practicing hunting all morning. He's shooting through the air with a bow and arrow. As a hunter, he still practiced his accuracy every day. Now he wanted very much to meet a black bear. He found some mushrooms here. It would be good for a stew. He took his bow and arrow to the mountain in search of prey. I saw the same beauty again. Unfortunately, there were no grouse sightings this time. Saw black bear droppings on the mountain. Since hunting wastes so much time without seeing, why don't you spend some time fishing? Adam was wandering around in the jungle. He actually saw a grouse. Adam pulls up his bow and shoots. Succeeded in getting a grouse. As soon as the prey is seen, it's almost impossible to run away. This grouse is not very big, but add the mushrooms picked today. It should be ready for a big pot of soup. No one is more comfortable than Adam right now. Not only does he have a nice, warm shelter, and they often hunt for food. Adam stuffed the oar nut into the grouse, and then just bake it. Soon the roast grouse is ready. Adam couldn't stop eating. This high guy is really gonna enjoy it. There's no way Adam won't win the championship at this rate. Benji has been fishing on the shore today, but only 2 small fish were caught. It's not dark yet. He continued to try fishing. I didn't expect to catch a big one. Now he is overfed. Fishing is part of survival, but he's more interested in hunting for survival. He stored the fish under a rock. That's enough to feed him for days. Just as he was returning, saw a trail in the grass. He guessed it was the path of the beavers. Benji decided to set up hunting traps here. If we can catch the beavers, this is gonna last a long time. Benji looked around the neighborhood. The beavers are in sight. Direct the bow and shoot. Unfortunately, it didn't hit. Benji waited for a second shot. This time it hit the beaver. The beaver was struggling in the water. Benji searched the shore for the injured beaver. This high guy just caught a lot of fish today, and now he's hunting beavers. To the fat of the mouth if you can't find. That's a shame. Benji searched along the shore. He wanted the beaver very much. After hours of searching, didn't find it. Benji had to go back and get his bow. Blood on the bow and arrow. So Benji can find the lost beaver. You look forward to an update in the next video.